So I have all of the actual product information written down in front of me, so I don't have to hold the tub up and read the nutritional panel through it that way. So we'll run through the formula together with me reading off the nutritional label that I kind of copy and pasted to my iPad here to read out in front of it. So initially, Combat as a brand, they're an Australian-based company based up in Burleigh Heads in Queensland. All of their products are formulated specifically for combat athletes, but can be they're applicable to essentially anyone. The target market is combat athletes based on the fact that they're a HASTA tested brand, which means every single product on every single run is batch tested to be banned substance free. So if you compete at a high level, you can ensure that the products are going to be banned substance free. And then also, you know, if you get drug tested for work or whatever, and you want to have a brand that you know is going to be banned substance free. And the reason for that is not because the brands themselves like making illegal products, but sometimes they share a manufacturing facility with other companies who produce, say, pre-workouts that might have on the edge type stimulants in them. And then if you're making multiple products on the same run, there's that chance where these guys has to test their products. So that'll never be applicable. Obviously, you may have seen in the past where like certain UFC fighters will like pop drug tests and then blame it on supplements. Well, these guys sponsor fighters such as Alexander Volkanovski, so they're never going to have that attached to their brand, and they ensure HASTA certified batch testing on every single one of their products. So that's a little bit of insight to the brand itself. This product in particular, Reload, their whole food protein, is a plant-based protein powder, an all-in-one formula that covers recovery, increasing protein intake, and even hydration in there as well. So I'm going to run through the formula piece by piece to give you a little bit of a breakdown. So first off is their protein blend, which once again, anyone who's spoken to me in the shop, I'll always recommend a vegan protein blend and not an isolated protein, just to ensure that you're covering full spectrum amino acid profile. These guys have the addition of other essential amino acids added into their formula as well to ensure you're getting a complete amino acid profile, which is super important if you're eating a plant-based diet or even just utilizing a plant-based protein. Their protein blend consists of organic sprouted brown rice, fermented pea protein powder, such an itchy protein, and smooth protein, which is a patented form of like a multitude of different seeds, including like pumpkin seed, I think it's like hemp seed, watermelon seed, and there's a couple of different things. And even though it's like a whole bunch of seeds as such, it is actually a smooth protein. So unlike potentially some of the other like pea isolates that people may have had, this actually does have a much better, smoother consistency than some of the other grainier plant-based proteins. It also has natural flavors, so it's not an artificially flavored product, it's a naturally flavored product. They use Go MCT, medium chain triglycerides, natural sweetener, stevia, magnesium citrate, curcumin in the form of the curcumin C3 complex, which is a patented form of curcumin. Then you also have a digestive enzyme, bromelain, plant-based probiotics, which is Bacillus coagulans, bioperine, Himalayan sea salt, and cacao powder. So that's their formula. We're going to break down kind of each of those components in themselves. So obviously they're plant-based product. That means it is a dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free product, which is covers the spectrum for basically anyone who has IBS or any sort of intolerance. It's going to be very much applicable for 99.9% of the population to utilize. The gut health blend that's in there that I read out before, so Bacillus coagulans, they use the digestive enzymes bromelain and bioperine. So as I mentioned before, they take more of a all-in-one approach to this protein. Obviously it's reflected a little bit in the price as well, but you're actually getting more in this protein product than you are in just a general whey protein. Alright, so the gut health blend is that Bacillus coagulans, the digestive enzyme in the form of bromelain, and that bioperine, which actually just helps with absorption of the whole formula in general. The anti-inflammation blend consists of the curcumin, the bromelain, the bioperine there, and then the electrolyte blend, which comes in a 961 milligram serve in the form of the Himalayan sea salt, the potassium, and the magnesium as well. So you're ensuring that most people are utilizing this product post-workout. So if you're not using any sort of intra-workout hydration product, you're going to be covering some of the hydration in this post-workout reload as well. looking at like a 961 milligram serve. That is like a decent serve, but you know, if you're doing anything where you are like very hot and sweaty, you would probably want to have additional electrolytes as well. You wouldn't rely on this as your pure hydration supplement. And that pretty much makes up the rest of it. Obviously you have the MCT in there as well, which is, they have written there that it's for an energy blend. MCTs in general are just obviously a good healthy form of fats to have in there. They only have it in there in like a tiny, like 3 gram serve. I think you get a total of like 3 grams of fat in this product. Totaling for the whole serve, the macro profile for this is 30 grams of protein, 3 grams of fat, 3 grams of carbohydrates. And that's pretty much everything that's in it. So that's kind of, I guess, like everything that's on paper, and then I'm just going to give my personal breakdown of it now. So I've used pretty much every protein product that we have in the shop over time, and this has been one that I've used personally kind of back to back as of late. I found that unless I'm using whey protein in the form of something like ISO Zero, which is like a native grass-fed whey, lactose, gluten-free, no whey protein, I would say, sits like perfectly in my stomach, and that's kind of what made me switch to like a plant-based protein. And so I use that in my oats, in my smoothies. I don't personally drink it a lot by itself. I actually like using protein powders kind of with foods, and if I do drink it, it's more so in the form of like a smoothie. When I have had it over time, trialing it by itself, it definitely is the least gritty plant-based protein that I've had. A lot of them that use a like pea protein isolate as the primary source of protein, you'll find that it does have a very gritty consistency. And if you are someone who looks for a plant-based protein and doesn't like that, I would highly recommend checking out this Combat Reload. Also, flavor profile wise, I'm not doing a product comparison, so I'm not going to verse it, but it definitely falls in my top 2 plant-based proteins. The salted caramel is like top tier, unparalleled, probably ties with the most popular plant-based protein we've got in the shop, specifically in that flavor. So they've done an amazing job on their flavors, and I know from kind of going back and forth with the owners that they spent a long time trying to get the flavors right, because when it comes to protein powder in general, obviously taste is, you know, probably 60% of the reason someone has the product, and then the formula makes up the rest. People are like, as long as I'm getting protein, sweet, it needs to taste good. They've obviously gone a bit over the top, you know, with the addition of their kind of all-in-one complex, but the flavors they have absolutely nailed. So I'm a huge fan personally also of the kind of all-in-one approach they've taken, looking at, I guess, recovery in general as more than just protein, looking at it from the additional hydration blend in there, looking at it from the, you know, addition of that anti-inflammation blend in there as well, not both in terms of say joint and muscle, but also your gut health and your ability to actually absorb and utilize the protein and amino acids that are in a product like this. So there's definitely a much more holistic approach to how they've looked at consuming protein and then just recovery in general, which I think is super important. And you know, anyone who really takes their training seriously, especially if you're a combat athlete, would highly recommend that you check this out and give it a run. Even one time, maybe a plant protein's not for you, but I know personally I've been a huge fan of it. And one of the main reasons I started utilizing it was just doing jiu-jitsu, wanting to have a more holistic approach to my recovery, and implementing something like that's been amazing for both my gut and my recovery. So now for flavors and taste, this product comes in 3 flavors. You've got chocolate, vanilla, and then, as I mentioned, the most popular one, salted caramel, and it comes in 2 sizes, both a 900 gram and a 2.27 kilo tub. And the price points are $75 for the 900 gram tub, $175 for the 2.27 kilo tub. Like I mentioned, the price point is probably slightly higher than, you know, other whey proteins that you compare it to, but definitely around the market price for other plant-based proteins that you're comparing it to, and taking into consideration that there is the addition of that curcumin, the hydration blend, and the, you know, probiotic, a single strain probiotic, and the digestive enzyme in there as well. So there is those like slight few additions that kind of, if you're looking at not just value for money, but value for formula for money, then Combat wins out a lot of the time. So who's a product like this going to be most applicable for? So as I mentioned, number one, first and foremost, anyone who gets drug tested for your sport or for your job, definitely recommend something like Combat as a brand. They obviously have a few other SKUs like their pre-workout and their recovery product, as well as their protein. That's going to ensure that if you're, looking for a full stack that's going to be definitely banned substance free, very much applicable. I also recommend this kind of product to people who utilize whey and potentially it doesn't sit that well in their stomach and they're looking for some sort of plant-based alternative. Highly recommend. I know for me personally, it's been a game changer because I do use protein multiple times in a day. So having something that I can have and then doesn't make me feel crazy bloated, multiple times in a day is super important. And because I'm using that too, if I'm, lazy, sometimes 3, but using it multiple times in a day and not having any problems with my digestion has been phenomenal. I also recommend it just for people who are looking to try different products. Like I think a lot of people generally jump to the protein that they've used forever. And sometimes when they kind of ask for something different, I'll send them down the route of something that's plant-based like Combat Reload and see how they go. And it's not always a win. Some people are like, oh, I don't like the taste of plant-based proteins or the consistency or whatever it is, but a lot of the time you'll get people to be like, well, I found that setting my stomach way better. I found that, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Or they have a preconceived idea of what other plant-based proteins taste like and have never even given something like this a shot, which uses that patented smooth protein, which, spent years on developing their flavors. And it's not just a stevia sweetened pea protein isolate garbage, grainy, terrible plant-based protein that they've tried potentially from other brands. So if you have tried other plant-based proteins, don't let that be the final say in whether or not you do try this Combat Reload. And so my final thoughts for this product are, if you're someone in the market for a new protein, especially a plant-based protein, compare what you're currently using to Combat Reload, compare things like the amino acid profile, especially against other plant-based proteins. Combat Reload will definitely win out. We do have open tubs in the shop all the time because I use it, so if people want to try it, you can always ask. And also, at the time of this video, anyone who purchases a Combat related product will also get free Pinnacle Performance boxing hand wraps. So if that's something that appeals to you as well, and you're taking up any sort of combat sport, pair it with Combat Reload and your whole stack will be covered. But hopefully you got some value out of this video. I look forward to doing more product reviews. Don't forget to leave a comment in the video description below and I'll review any products that are requested. But thanks for watching and have a lovely day.